Okay, I think there are less people today. I don't see many people, just 12 of us. Anyways, I think people will join. So let's get started. I have a lot of content to cover today. And for that, I would request you to, hold on to your questions and let's not ask questions during the class. We'll try to address all your questions post class. So please be on mute. And if I am asking something, then you can unmute and answer. But other than that, I would request you to please be on mute. Okay, so welcome to again, welcoming those who couldn't join the pre-session Q&A. So welcome to the 16th session of BW4HANA training. Today, we will look at the DTPs, the different options of the DTPs, the error handling in the DTPs, and then finally we will go to OpenODS views. Today, we'll deal with OpenODS views as well. Okay, so let's go back to our flow. So in the previous class, we saw that how to put the ABAP debugger breakpoints for the start routine, end routine, and for field routine. Our end routine was in ABAP and it was not going there, right? So there are two ways you can enable the breakpoint or the debugger to jump to end routine. First of all, please remember this. Let me see. Yeah. Some salient points you should keep in mind. These are very important points with respect to the AMDP debugging. Whenever it is HANA runtime, your class underscore A has to be the class where you will put your breakpoints, not underscore M. We know that there are two classes, underscore M and underscore A, which gets generated for HANA runtime. So you will always put your breakpoints in underscore A class, not underscore M class for HANA runtime. And if you have ABAP end routine, which is written in HANA runtime, still the breakpoints will have to be put in underscore A class. So that means irrespective of whether it's an ABAP end routine or a HANA end routine or a HANA start routine or field routine, whenever the runtime is HANA, the class is always underscore A. So ideally, the debugger should jump to the end routine without any special provisioning. But in our case, it was not jumping. I don't know, maybe there was some system issue, but usually it will jump. So please test it out in your particular server. It should ideally be jumping after the failed routine. It should go to the end routine. But if it is not going, then you can put the soft breakpoints during the session. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So if you go to the A class, let's go to the A class. So we are in the transformation, we are in the properties, technical, and in the technical, you will see we have the technical ID, we have the analysis process, which is the calculation scenario, which I showed you in previous class. And there is no generated ABAP for HANA runtime, but there is a underscore A class which gets generated. So if you go inside that class, you put the breakpoints there. So if you see here, we have all these are your green circles are your methods. So we have global end for end routine, global start for start routine, and then S0001, G01, R50 for field routine. So we'll go to start, and then you will see that previous breakpoints are now shown as grayed out. Okay, so there are three colors to the AMDP breakpoints. These colors are very important to remember. So if it is green, that means the debugger is active and the breakpoint is valid and confirmed. So this should be for AMDP debugging, the breakpoint should ideally be green circle. If it is blue circle for the AMDP, the debugger is active, but the breakpoint is still pending. That means the breakpoint is still not active. The debugger is active. This means that it is validated, but the DB procedure underneath is not ready yet to be debugged. So blue means in the AMDP debugger, blue means that your debugger is active, but your breakpoint is not confirmed. So it will probably not jump to that breakpoint. And then gray means the debugger is inactive. The AMDP debugger is inactive. That means there is no session there, and this is not where your code will jump. So how you will do that? You will right click and there are two options. Okay, one is soft breakpoint and one is the regular breakpoint. Soft breakpoints are session specific breakpoints. Okay, even in previous ABAP debugging, we had session breakpoints, and then we had regular breakpoints. So session breakpoints means it is only valid for that particular session of the debugging. So if you just start the debugging, there's a session created, and within that session, you can have the soft breakpoints. Or if you don't want session specific, it is your code regular specific. That means even if you stop the session, terminate the debugging session, the debugger breakpoints will still be there, although it will be disabled. That means it will gray out, but it will still be there. So that kind of breakpoints are your regular breakpoints. So another way you can do that to jump the code to the end routine is put a soft breakpoint while you are debugging. So if we, okay, I'm putting it again, okay, and it says confirmation pending. That means it is blue, okay. So it is saying, and now it turned green, right? And now it will say confirmed. So please make sure that the color turns to green for your AMDP debugger breakpoint. Then you can put only, okay, this is already there, confirmed. Because I did confirmation this, all the other grayed out also became active. And then we have global, no, let's go for the field routine. Field routine also, because if it's already there, it is now green, confirmed, green, confirmed. And global end, okay. Global end has blue, okay, but that's okay because this is not an AMDP class and method, and it will not turn as green because green means what? Green means the AMDP is active. See, AMDP breakpoint. So breakpoints also have types. One is AMDP breakpoint, which is inside an AMDP method. These keywords will be there for the AMDP method. But inside the global end method, there is no AMDP keywords by database procedure for HDB, language, SQL script, etc. So this breakpoint is a regular ABAP breakpoint, not an AMDP breakpoint. So that means for regular ABAP breakpoints, it is okay to have blue color. It will not turn to green because it is not an AMDP breakpoint. So remember that. So if it is an AMDP class and method, your color should be green. If it is a regular breakpoint within an ABAP end routine or start routine or field routine, then you will still see them as blue, not as green. But definitely they should not be grayed out. Okay, so we have our breakpoint set in the A class. Now let's go back and we'll open the DTP and we'll run the DTP. Okay, the second one from the staging ADSO to the data warehousing layer ADSO. Okay, and then we will quickly execute in background.
Devanshu,
an
quick
open
question.
monitor.
Devanshu, Shri here, quick question.
Yes, Shri.
Yeah, I remember you said like not to load the data from write optimized to integration ADSO.
Yes, not in the regular process chain, correct. But this is just for the demonstration purpose because we had this thing, the special characters and all those things we had saved in the staging ADSO.
Okay.
So that's why. But in a regular process chain flow, this will not happen.
Okay.
Absolutely. Okay, so it's asking me to switch. This is a confirmation that yes, debugger is working and it is jumping to the debug perspective. So your perspective will immediately jump to debug perspective. Okay, and then we are in the global start, as you can see there. This is your pointer. So we have the current instruction pointer at this. So now during the debugging, what you can do is you can go to global end. And by the way, in the breakpoints, so here we have variables and there we have breakpoint. You see the color difference? These are all green and this is blue. Because these are AMDP breakpoints and this is regular ABAP breakpoints. Now, if you want to put, see, ideally it should not matter. It should jump to the end routine. But if it is not jumping due to some system issue or some settings, then you have to put soft breakpoints, meaning say for example, I will go to my global end, okay, there. And now instead of double clicking on this, or rather at the code, okay, I can remove this by double clicking. So these breakpoints are gone. And then what I can say is right click, toggle soft breakpoint. So soft breakpoints are session specific. That means this particular debugging session. You see here, we have debugger, we have the server, we have the class, and this is the session which got created for the debugging. So there we can have toggle soft breakpoints, and there it will come as green now because this is a soft breakpoint. Soft breakpoints for the regular ABAP code will be green, and then you can have a toggle soft breakpoint here. So then what does it say? Effective within the running debugger, within this current session, okay, cannot launch a new debugger. That means if you close this session and then launch a new session, then this will not be valid. Only when you are doing the debugging, during the debugging, they are valid. Okay, so let's press F6. So this is in global start. Okay, so after global start, it will go to the field routine where we are doing the quantity conversion. So, and then you can see the variables as 95 here, and out tab is 0, in tab is 95, out tab is 0 because we are in out tab right now. Then go to F6, end method, and these breakpoints are done. And then, so you see the breakpoints at 417, we are at 417, line 417 breakpoint is done. Now it should ideally jump to your end routine. Oh, it did not. Why it did not? Yeah, I don't know. There might be some issue. Ideally, it should jump. Ideally, in fact, you should not have to even create the soft breakpoint. The blue ones will work fine. It should jump. But I don't know why it's not jumping. There is some settings I have to check for the debugger or for debugging. But it should. Because as per SAP's instructions, whether it is an ABAP type or whether it is a HANA SQL script type, the runtime will decide where the debugger has to be put. And the runtime, if it's HANA, then underscore A class has to be there. And you don't have to do even this. I just tried that because it was not jumping the regular way. I tried the soft breakpoint, and I just wanted to also explain the concept of soft breakpoint. So this is how you'll create, and it should ideally jump. But in our case, I'm not sure why it is not jumping. But in your client system, like the client which I'm working on, their BW4HANA system, it jumps. So I didn't have to create any soft breakpoints. It goes to end routine. But some setting here or something is precluding that. Not sure, I have to check that. But this is the concept of soft breakpoint versus your regular session breakpoints. And please pay attention to the color of the breakpoint circle. For AMDP, it should be green. For regular ABAP, it should be blue.
Devanshu, without the line by line debugging, isn't it a problem? Like, because we don't know where the error is causing. If it is run by like...
Then you have to go to expert routine. In expert routine, not expert routine, sorry, expert mode. So when you simulate the DTP, there is an option of expert mode. We saw that. Expert mode will allow you to do selections. Because it is not line by line, what you have to do is you have to do selection by selection. So take for one material group and then see if there are 100 records. If the error is coming there, then you know that, okay, within this 100 record, now I have to further do a selection and see. The main difference between previous ABAP and the AMDP is that everything is now package by package. Even your field routines are package by package. So it is difficult to do record by record. So either what you can do is, another option is put as many breakpoints as possible and then jump from breakpoint to breakpoint and try to simulate the record by record. You have to create multiple breakpoints during your debugging session. Within the debugging section also, you can create multiple breakpoints. Right now it's terminated, that's why it's not accepting. But while it is happening, you can put multiple breakpoints. So there are two ways to simulate that. One, multiple breakpoints, and second, the expert mode, which will allow you to do selections.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, so now what we'll do is, see, clean, you have to clean it up. Please don't forget that. Okay. And by the way, if you want to remove all breakpoints, there's an option of remove all. Suppose sometimes we want to, remove all the breakpoints. So you can remove all the breakpoints, and then in one shot, all the breakpoints are gone. You don't have to go and do, double click multiple times if you want to just remove everything. So it's an easy way. So the breakpoints view in the debug perspective is also helpful. Okay, so now we'll go back to our modeling perspective. Then we'll close this. We'll close this. And now what I want to show you, let me activate this. I want to show you the debugging for the ABAP runtime. So far, we are dealing with debugging in the HANA runtime. So let's quickly see that. Where do we see that? Let's open the header view. We'll do it in the header view. Okay. So this is my header view. Okay, ZDF, SDHDR, 2LS, LSA, BT2. So this is the same LSA++ flow. This is just for header. In header, we didn't have any routines. So if you see the transformation, let's see the transformation. So it's a HANA runtime. And if you go to outline view, you can expand the rules. There are no routines here. There are no global routines also. So it's a very simple 1:1 flow. So here what we'll do is we will change the runtime. We'll switch the runtime here, okay, to ABAP. So this is from the info source to your data warehousing layer ADSO. So we'll change the runtime. And why it allowed? Because there are no routines written. So the runtime is changed, and now what I'll do is I will quickly go to end routine and I'll create an end routine for update date. Same thing, update date is no update here. So if I just show you there. So if you see the rules here, there is something called no update, and the up0 UPD date was not mapped. It is not mapped in the header flow. So what we'll do is we will do the same thing what we did in the item flow, which is the end routine. So you go to general, in the end routine, you just create the end routine. Make sure you select the update date. Go to end routine. So this is not AMDP anymore. This is regular ABAP. So we will write the regular ABAP code. Okay. Now important thing here is, yeah. So we have the method global and result fields. Yeah. So here we have to write. See here also they have given, by the way, read this. ABAP breakpoints within an ABAP routine must be set in the underscore A class if the transformation runtime is set to HANA runtime. And underscore M is not considered for DTP execution. All ABAP breakpoints must be set in the generated program. See, now the difference is that if it is an ABAP runtime, then you don't have underscore A class created anymore. You have a generated program which gets created, not the underscore A class. So that means you have to put the breakpoints in the generated program, which we will do. Okay. Okay, and this is underscore M class where we will do all our changes. So code and everything you will write in underscore M, but debugging and the debugging pointers or the breakpoints you will write in, or you will set in the generated program. So let's quickly see that code. There we have, I have it here. So the same thing we'll do. Okay. All right, so loop at result package assigning. Now here result package will be used. Why? Because this is a regular ABAP. There is no in tab, error tab, and out tab. Assigning update date is side item. Control S to save. Control F2 to check contains no errors. Good. And then you have F3 to activate. So we have activated the ABAP end routine. Now we'll go back and we'll activate the transformation as well. Okay, we'll activate the transformation. Yeah. Okay. Okay, transform condition DTP affected has been deactivated. So DTP is deactive now. So just press F5. F5 refreshes. The moment you press F5, you can see that the DTP becomes inactive, which is the latest version. So we'll click on that. We just have one DTP, which is from the data source to your data warehousing layer ADSO via the info source, of course. So I'll just quickly activate this, and then we will also, okay, we'll also make sure that the transformation which is coming from the data source also has ABAP runtime. Okay, so we'll switch that. So we'll completely make it ABAP. From data source to info source ABAP, and from info source to data warehousing layer ABAP. So we'll do that as well. Here I don't want to write any business rules. You know, the best practices, write all the business rules from info source to your integrated data warehousing layer. Okay, so this is activated because there was no routine ABAP runtime, and then DTP got inactive. So press F5, just fine. Okay, so DTP there got inactive because we changed the first transformation for this DTP, because this DTP will take the data all the way from the data source to your integrated data warehousing layer. Okay, so DTP is consistent, DTP is activated, processing mode change from parallel processing to partial. Yes, this is important, guys. There's a warning, right? And what does the warning say? The processing mode previously was HANA execution, okay? But now the processing mode has changed to parallel processing, extraction and processing, flexible preparation. That means this is no more HANA runtime processing. Your DTP processing mode will change. If you will change the ABAP runtime, if you change the runtime to ABAP, your DTP processing mode will also change. And it is saying partial. That means it is a partial SAP HANA execution, not a full SAP HANA execution. So in fact, it is not even partial. From partial, actually it was partial before, but now it is changed to parallel extraction and processing, which is completely ABAP based. Previously it was partial HANA, and now it is completely ABAP based. If you have the runtime, pure HANA runtime, right, and without any end routine, then you will see that you will have SAP HANA execution as your processing mode. Okay, so what we did was we have created an end routine, and that end routine is in this particular transformation. We have changed this to ABAP runtime, and then we also changed the transformation from the data source to info source to ABAP runtime. Okay, so this is ABAP runtime, and in the rules you will see we have one global routine which we just added, the end routine, and the second transformation is this one, the data source to your info source. Here also we changed it to ABAP to make it completely ABAP, and now we don't have any routines here. It's just direct alignment time, and these are the two transformations. Now in this transformation, if you go to the properties, go to technical, now you will see that we have generated ABAP and the active class is not generated for the ABAP runtime. Active class underscore A class is generated only for HANA runtime, and for ABAP runtime it is ABAP. So this is where we have to put our breakpoints if you want the code to stop. And here it is important in the generated program, what is the class you will have to use? The class you will have to use is LCL underscore transform. That is the name of the class inside this program. So it is no more underscore A class. It is a program, and within that program we have a class which is called LCL underscore transform. Expand that, and under LCL underscore transform you will see multiple methods, and one of the method will be your end routine method. Okay, again it is class and method based. Both HANA runtime and the ABAP runtime are both classes and methods, but the difference is that the class is a regular class here, and for HANA runtime it's an AMDP based class and the AMDP based method. So inside LCL transform you have end routine, and here it is our code. So here we can put a breakpoint. Let's put a breakpoint here, loop at this, and end method. So now you will see what is the color. blue. It is not green because it is not an AMDP breakpoint, guys. It is a regular ABAP breakpoint and that has color blue. Don't think that blue means it is not confirmed. Yes, it is not confirmed when it is AMDP class and method. But if it's a regular ABAP class and method, blue color is okay, which is fine. Now we have put the breakpoints here. Now let's go back to the DTP. So this is the DTP. We will run the DTP. Okay. First, let's make sure that the data is not there, it's clean. So we'll say manage. Okay, we'll clean up the data. Okay, one more thing, guys. See, we all know and we have seen this that when we have BW4HANA, then everything goes to cockpit, BW4HANA cockpit. Your manage ADSO will go to cockpit, your DTP monitor will go to cockpit, so on and so forth. But sometimes what happens is, in my case, cockpit is working fine. But in some places, you will see that cockpit, if it is not activated properly, it will not work. And sometimes it will give you error. Sometimes it will be so slow, it will not load. And sometimes it will give you some HTTP related services not activated. So there can be issues with BW4HANA cockpit. Unless basis team has run that task list, which we discussed in the previous classes, and the task list successfully executed and BW4HANA cockpit is properly activated. If that is the case, then you will not have any problem. And I would encourage you to, work with basis team to make sure cockpit is activated, because you have to get used to this interface. But in exceptional cases where your cockpit is not working, then you can deactivate the jump to cockpit. So in BW4HANA, guys, and I'm telling you this, not to use this on a regular basis, but only utilize this in exceptional or urgent emergency cases only. Okay, I'm not encouraging you at all to use this workaround, but there is a workaround. If you want this jump to stop, if you want the regular, Eclipse based monitors, regular Eclipse based manage of ADSO and things like that, then there is an option. So instead of deleting the data from the cockpit, let's try to do that. Okay. By the way, this DTP might have finished. Yeah, all the 95 records are loaded there, which is fine. We can activate it. Let me activate this request. This is for the item, by the way. When we did the debugging, I was showing you this is for the SD item 4. Let me activate the data. Now, once it is activated, then we'll close this BW4HANA cockpit completely, and then we'll stop the jump. Okay, activation is successful, and removing means removing from the inbound table is also done. Okay, so we'll close this, we will close completely. Now, again, I'm emphasizing, don't use it as a workaround for your regular use, only for emergency cases. So we'll close this program. Oh, did I show you the debugger stop? We didn't see that, right? Did we? Okay, so no, we did not see that. So first we had to clean the data, right? So before that, what I will do is go to a separate session for BW4HANA and go to SICF, which is your Internet Communication Services. So now in your services, and these services are basically which enables that OData connectivity, HTTP integration, and the jumps to Fiori tile, jumps to the cockpit, and all those is actually all driven by the services, Internet Communication Services. Okay. Now, here I have a service which is called BW4_PCM_SRV. BW4_PCM_SRV. Just execute this. Okay, so this hierarchy will be shown to you that where exactly this service is. This is an active service. Again, do not deactivate this service. It can create issues in your system. Only for emergency cases where your cockpit is not working and you want the regular thing to come back. Then you will just right click on this and you will say deactivate service. When you will say deactivate service, it will ask you, do you want to deactivate service? You say, yes, I want to. And you'll see the service is now grayed out. All these are active, meaning black, and this is grayed out white. So that means this service is deactivated. Now you have to log off first. Okay. So go to Project Explorer and log off from your project. Select both the projects and just say close projects. Close projects means logging off. Okay. And then you again log back in. And same for the ABAP project also for BW server. So we have logged back both again in ABAP project and BW project. Now we'll again go to our data flow, which is the item data flow. Okay. And now you see, right click on this and the manage. This manage used to jump to BW4HANA cockpit. Now it will open the manage within your Eclipse with a prior look and feel, which BW consultants are used to. This is the manage, which we are all used to. You will see the load request. This is the load request. Then how many records are there, activation happened or not successfully. This is activation request, and how many records were activated. And then you can, if you want to see the details, you have to just click on the show detail, which will give you the further details of the particular request and all. And from here, I want to delete my request. Okay, so I'll go to menu, I'll go to utilities and go to selective deletion is there, or complete deletion is there, or change log data removal is there. I want to completely clean this ADSO because I want the data to be reloaded and the breakpoints. I want, basically the idea is to show you that breakpoints in the ABAP runtime. So I'll delete the complete contents from here. Do you want to delete the content? Yes, we want to. Yeah, so it is deleted. Okay. Now you can close this. Now I'll go to the, oh, what did I do? Oh, sorry, my bad. I deleted from the item flow. I should have deleted from the header flow. That's fine, no problem. So we'll delete from the header flow. This is the header one. So you right click and say manage, which will no more jump to cockpit. And then we'll clean the request from here. Okay. So you go to menu, utilities, and then selective deletion or delete contents. I want complete deletion. Do you want to delete the contents or data target? Yes. So this is all our SAP GUI look and feel in Eclipse using the new request number TSN request framework. Okay. So this header is done. So now we will go to first. Let's make sure that our debugger the breakpoints are still active. So let's go to the transformation. Then go to the properties, go to the technical, go to the generated ABAP, and in generated ABAP, we will see if our, go to the outline view, expand the LCL transform, go to the end routine and see if your debugging point, yes, they are active. Okay. So now you can go back to your header flow, open the DTP. Now see, when I run this DTP, execute in background, now this also was jumping to BW4HANA cockpit, correct, for the DTP, but now it should not because we have deactivated that service. So it's starting the DTP and see, it did not jump. Within the Eclipse, it gave you that regular look and feel, and because we have the debugger, it's asking us to switch. So we'll switch the perspective, and it stopped at the regular debugging point, regular breakpoint. So you see, you don't need to always have green. Green is relevant only for your HANA runtime, okay, AMDP based code. But for regular code, blue is fine. So it stopped at result package, assigning result fields. Just double click on result package. Here you can hover over it. It will show you the result package details. Or on the right side, you can see that the result package is divided into multiple chunks of data, 10 records at a time. So this is 10 record, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. We have total 61 records. There are total 61 records, and each record you can see. Okay, so say for example, for this record number one, document number one, we have the update date. Where is the update date? Okay, so update date is all 0000. Okay, and now if I go, now I have all these options active. F5 is active, F6 is active, F7 is active, F8 is active. All those, your regular ABAP debugger keyboard keys are all active. Step by step, you can go with F5. So if I press F5 here, it will go to the result fields. Okay. And this is the update date. Keep an eye on the update date. Okay. I'll go to F5 and the update date updated to today's date, which is 26th of September 2020. So that means this code, this end routine code is working perfectly. Now it's going to go through the code again and again. Okay. So basically I'm just pressing F8 to execute and then come out. So you can press F8. So you see it is all terminated. And once it is terminated, if you go here, refresh this, and your 61 data records are loaded. Okay. I am terminating and removing, proper removal, coming back to the BW modeling perspective. And here, this is a look and feel which we are all familiar with for DTP. But again, please don't use this as your excuse for not working in the cockpit. Get used to cockpit as soon as possible. But this is how you can do that, same look and feel. So now here you can jump to your data target, and in the data target you will see that the request is loaded but not activated. So we can activate from here as well. You will see the load request is there, but the activation request is not there. So here you can check, you can right click on this and you can check the inbound table, active table, changelog table. I want to check the inbound table to see if all the update date is updated in the end routine as part of the end routine or not. Okay, so update date. So all the update dates are there. If you just do a filter, I'll see how many, there should be only one date. Yeah, so everything is fine. All the records are updated with today's date. Now I'm going to activate it. So this one, okay, DTP activate. Let's go back. Now here you right click and you can say activate. Okay, activate request by request, perform in background. So since I just have one request, it is fine. Excuse me. And then activation has been successfully completed. This is the symbol. This is also the checkbox. If there's a tick mark which comes which says activated, that means records are successfully activated. And you can see the details of this request in the show detail. Okay, this is activation request detail. And then you can see the details of that badge job. If you want to see the badge job, which is the regular look and feel of this SN37, this is the BW underscore task. So the badge job which started is the BW underscore task. You can see the details there. And this is the regular look and feel of our BW system. So delta merge trigger happened, right? So DTP triggers a delta merge. So that happened and it is successfully completed. Okay. So this is how you will put the breakpoints in the generated ABAP for ABAP runtime. Okay, clear? And then you can come here and you can just toggle breakpoints. That means all breakpoints are removed. Okay, let's come back here. Okay, so this was the header flow. So we will close the header flow. And now I'm going to open a session and activate the service again. That was just for the demonstration purpose. We are not supposed to work in this fashion. Cockpit is a very important tool, and there are many features which you will not have in the backend, which are only available in Cockpit. So you should familiarize yourself with the Cockpit as soon as possible. Okay, so it is active now. Let me make sure again. Yeah, black. That means the grayed out is gone. It is active. So let's quickly close everything and log off. Okay, so we saw that how to put breakpoints in both the runtimes. Now we will see some error handling options in the DTP. Okay, so the DTP error handling options and other options, let's discuss quickly. And then we have to jump to the OpenODS views, which is very important for today. Please hold on to your questions, guys. I know you might have questions at this point, but let's not discuss them right now. We'll take it in the post session. Okay, so let's expand this batch 2 and let's go to our item flow. Okay, so our item flow is completely HANA runtime. Even the last transformation is also HANA runtime, but you have an end routine there, right? End routine is ABAP. Now, when you have end routine as ABAP, and now if you see the DTP, I'm using the DTP from the staging ADSO to the standard data, sorry, the data warehousing ADSO. By the way, this will not be used in the regular process chain, but just for the training and demonstration purpose, we are using this flow. Okay. So what does it say? Parallel processing with partial HANA execution. Partial meaning why partial? Because you have an end routine which is written in ABAP. That means completely it's not HANA execution, it is partial HANA execution. So parallel processing with partial HANA execution. Now, if you have this as your processing mode, and if you go to update, all error handling is activated in the update tab. So we have 5 tabs for DTP. We have the general tab. In general tab, we will have the general settings like if it is delta or full. You have the request selection, that means request by request. Initialization without data you want to do. Extract all green requests, only retrieve last request and only get delta once. So these are the options you will use for different scenarios. And then you have the execution mode, meaning what is the processing mode? This you cannot choose. System will automatically identify this based on whether you have end routine or whether everything is in HANA. If everything is in HANA, it will say complete HANA execution or parallel processing with HANA execution. It will not say partial. Partial meaning there is an ABAP component there. And then you have all the other details like packet size automatically identified by system, technical request, detailed request set to success if the warning occurs. So that means if the warning occurs, you don't want it to stop. You want it to say green. And overall status. So there are 2 status, technical status and overall status. So based on technical status, the overall status will be identified. And then this is parallel processing is automatically checked. So you can keep it as it is the default. It gives you performance improvement. Then you have the extraction tab. In the extraction tab, you have key date for master data. So if you have any hierarchy, which is there for an info object, okay, and that info object is part of this particular load, then you can say that based on which, and if the hierarchy is time dependent, by the way, key date always comes into picture if the hierarchy is time dependent hierarchy. Then based on the key date, the appropriate hierarchy data will be extracted. And delta initialization is from database, which is regular and which is a standard, but you can have from cold store also. Meaning if you have activated and attached a cold store, which can be a Sybase IQ or Hadoop or any other cold store, and then you can say that you have to take the data from that as well. Surprise database aggregation during the load, don't do the aggregation, just load it as it is. In the target, when it will happen, when you will activate it, then automatically that aggregation will happen. So in this case, we don't need the aggregation to happen, which is the default, which you can leave it as it is. Then we have filter. Filter meaning based on what you want to filter. If you want to put a DTP filter based on, say, for example, soil document type, you only want certain types to be restricted. So you can just restrict the type. We have OR1 and we have TA. So you can, if you just want the order type OR1, you can just put it in the right side. Okay. like this, double click, and it will come in a filter definition, and you will have the filter definition there as part of the DTP. So this is how you will do the filter. Okay, so this is how it will show up within your field here. You will see the filter type. Now I will just remove it for now. And then you will also have something called maintain. Maintain means the code. If you want to write a code for your filter, then you have to click on, say for example, document type, and I click on maintain. And then this is the maintenance of the field routine code within the DTP. So if you want to write a code based on some logic, then you can write it in the maintain. So this is how it will come. It will show you as ABAP routine, which you have written, and then you can just remove it for now. And
is it in class method?
No. This is not class and method. This is your ABAP regular routine. So if you see here, this is your form and end form. Form and end form is a classic ABAP, right? Here you don't have an option of the AMDP in the DTP filters. Okay, so I'll just remove this. And this is your same code which we used to write previously. What happened? Sorry, remove. Okay, and then you have extraction group by. Extraction group by means that what is the key field of your error stack, which is nothing but DTIS, data transfer intermediate storage. So if you have plant and material, for say for example, or if you have sales document and sales document item here to select. So I can select here sales document and sales document item, for example. And if there is an error, right, and that error happened in sales document number 1 and item number 10, which is very specific. In fact, you don't put item number here. If you can just remove it. Okay, it's taking some time. So if you just put sales document number, say for example, right? So if there is an error in document number, say for example 10, and there is item 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 items are there, right? They come in different records as different records, but the error is only in one item number 1, sales document number 10, item number 1. But because you have put the sales document number here as the key field of the error stack, all the items belonging to the same sales document number, which is say document number 10, will be pulled into your error stack. Why? Because if you send half-baked data to target, and if the reporting is happening, and if you haven't corrected the errors still, and you are sending the half-baked data to the target, and if the report generates on that half-baked data, it will not match, and they will have report data inconsistency or discrepancy related issues, which will be reported by the client. So that's why what SAP has done to safeguard the consistency and the validity of data, it has given you the option to set your key fields of the error stack, meaning if there is a problem in one item, all the items belonging to that particular sales order will be pulled into error stack, will not be updated to the target, meaning that complete sales document will be filtered out of your data, so that even if you send the correct data to the target, you will have a good data, you will not have half-baked data and then related data consistency issues. So that's the reason we have the key fields defined for the error stack, which is called DTIS. So that's what we do. And then we have an update tab. Now here you will see that we have trigger database merge. This is the delta merge, which happens by default for the DTP. But if you want to remove it, you can remove it and put as a separate process chain process type, okay, for the delta merge. And if you don't do that here, if you want to do with every DTP, you can just leave it as it is. Further processing without master data, that means it will not check the SID values, the generation of SID values during the data loading. So even if there is no master data for a particular value which is coming from a DTP source, which can be transaction data, then it will still allow and it will not fail. And then there is historic transactions. I don't know what this means. I have not used this historic transactions, but I think it has something to do with the special type of tables. They are called history tables. So if you have history tables enabled, then you can probably have historic transactions. Now is the important part. This is the error handling which we are dealing with right now. Error handling is deactivated. So we have error process, object cannot be generated for the circuit, it is grayed out. I cannot activate the error handling. Right now the request handling is by default, request is cancelled, records are not tracked. That means it is not sent to the error stack and target is not updated. So as soon as an error happens, it will immediately fail the record. It will not send the records to the error stack and you have to delete it and reload it. By looking at the message, somehow you have to figure it out. So that means error handling I cannot activate at this moment. Why I cannot activate at this moment? Because my processing mode is not pure HANA. Because my processing mode is partial HANA, it will not allow you to activate error handling. Error handling can be activated only in two cases. Either it is pure ABAP or it is pure HANA. If you have little bit of ABAP and most of it as HANA, which is called partial SAP HANA, your error handling will not be updated. Please remember that. Okay. So what we will do is we will create another flow. So I'm not saving this. I'm not touching this flow, this item flow, because we have written some routines and I don't want to touch those routines. I want still, to show you how ABAP and HANA works together. So we'll not touch this. Instead of that, what we will do is we will create a separate flow, which will be a copy of this flow from this to this. And then we will remove the end routine and we will create the same end routine in HANA SQL script now, so that it is pure HANA, no ABAP. And then we will see how the DTP processing mode changes and if we are able to, if we are able to activate the error handling or not. So what we'll do is we'll quickly do a copy of this node and we'll say paste. Okay. And then we will connect this to this guy. And now I'm going to quickly create this advanced DSO. I'll just give the name 5. And just to identify that this is just a copy, I'll say this. Now it is by default giving me the template as info source. I don't want template as info source. I want just to copy from this. So if you just select none, see copy from is disabled right now. But if you select no template, then copy from gets enabled. What is the difference between copy from and templates? Copy from means from a similar object. If you want to copy from an ADSO to another ADSO, from a composite provider to another composite provider, then copy from works. But if you want the ADSO or OpenODS view or something else to be similar to another type of object, not the same type. Like for example, ADSO taking template from data source, ADSO taking template from info source. If the type of object is different, then you go for templates. If the type of object is same, then you go for copy. So now we are going to copy it from ZD_SDITM4. I don't want template. I don't want this template or data source template. I want just simple copy from another same type of object, which is ADSO. So click on finish.
Devanshu, but there is info provider in the templates also, right? Can we not select another ADSO there?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But the copy from is usually used for same type, but template. See, in the template, you can have an info provider of a different type also. So ADSO is an info provider and OpenODS view is also an info provider and composite provider is also an info provider. All these are coming under in the info providers, right? Info object, master data is also an info provider. So even with info provider, you can have different type of objects there. If you don't want data source, if you don't want info source, but if you want an info object as a template, then you will go for info provider and then you will choose that info object.
Okay, got
But copy from is specific to the one type of object to the same type. Okay, that's the difference. Okay. Because within info providers also you can have different types of info providers. Okay, so it gave me the standard ADSO write change log, which is there. Is good. So details, I'll just check. Yeah. So if everything is same because it's a copy, so I will just activate this, Control F3. And now we are going to copy the transformation and then create the DTP. All right. So ADSO is activated successfully. Go to problems view. DSO consistent activated. Good. Okay. Now it is blue background. So the persistent object is created. Now let me display the transformation because I'm going to copy the transformation. Okay. So you copy the transformation technical ID, which is a technical name. Just right click and copy, close this, and then come here, say create transformation, and there you will see copy rules from. So you just paste it here and you say finish. So I'm copying all the rules from that transformation so that I don't have to do it manually. I'm saving some time here. Excuse me. So basically, essentially the idea is we are going to remove the end routine and we are going to create an end routine in SQL script, which is your AMDP class and method. And then that will allow the DTP processing mode to be pure HANA. And if that pure HANA processing mode is there, that should allow us the error handling options to be activated. Now, when we have error handling options to be activated, then we can choose. And then I will show you that, how the error stack is written. Because if you will remove, and one more thing we'll do is we'll remove the start routine. What was the start routine doing in this particular transformation? Start routine was removing the special characters, the hash and the exclamation mark. If you remove the start routine, that means you're not handling the special characters. That means it should fail, because it will say that sorry, these characters are not recognized and the DTP should fail. And if my error handling is activated, then I will have the error stack written for the records. So that's what we are going to check. All right, so it's taking some time. I think few more seconds. This particular part where you copy the transformation, it takes a little bit of time because it's checking the rules. It's checking whether all the source fields are there in the target fields. And it's checking whether the formulas or any routines you have written, whether it properly applies to the target transformation or not. And the runtime, by the way, for this will also be your HANA runtime, and you will have the end routine also copied. So this will save a lot of effort. If you have a transformation which can act as a starting point, then you can copy the rules and then modify the rules. So all your routines, whatever you have written, will come in. Now this is HANA runtime. So what we are going to do is we are going to delete the end routine. It was a very simple end routine. What was the routine doing? The update date. It was updating. Let me check that first. What we were doing, let's just to make sure. So if you just click on edit, it will come to the code editor and it will show you what we were doing. I just want to make sure my understanding is correct. It is just doing the update date equals to the side item. Yes, so we were just looping and this update date to side item. Okay, so now we will delete the end routine and we will write the end routine in the SQL script. That means the AMDP class and method. Okay, come on. Yeah. So the code for the end routine is going to be very similar to what we have in the start routine. In the start routine, we had the in tab equals to select your field list, and then within the field list, we were doing some transformation. We used a regular expression, replace regular expression function. Same, we have to use a function here also. And with that, we will just write the select clause in tab equals to select field list from the out tab, and then we will activate the transformation. Okay. So please remember that whether it's start routine or end routine or field routine, these three tables are the only system defined internal tables which you will be using, which is your in tab, out tab, and error tab. Come on. And another difference is that the field routines are also packaged by package processing in BW4HANA, HANA runtime, not your field by field. Okay. Yeah, it's taking a little bit of time. Guys, just give me a minute. I'll be back. Okay, guys, I'm back. Oh wow, it's still processing. That's, I think it's stuck or something. Reading the repository object. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, quick questions, I can answer that while we are doing this. Any questions, guys, so far?
Once there was an option called suppress aggregation, which was
Suppress database aggregation while loading.
Again, I missed that actually.
Yeah, suppress database aggregation means, see, we have defined for the ADSO, we have the key fields and we have the non-key fields. So what you are saying is that while the DTP is running or while the data is fetched, you do that aggregation and then apply the rules. We don't want to do that. We want the rules to apply for every line item, and then we do the aggregation while we do the final activation in the ADSO. So that's why by default it is suppressed. But if you want that data to be aggregated and then rules to be defined, then you can choose that.
Thank you.
Okay, so it has come back, fortunately. So now what we'll do is we will delete this end routine. Do you want to delete? The transaction will be saved. Yes, I want to delete the end routine, which is an ABAP end routine. Okay, don't tell me that this is also going to take minutes. It should delete. Yeah, okay. So it is successfully deleted. Okay. And now what we will do is we will create SAP HANA script based end routine, which is nothing but your AMDP class and method. So we will say, what do we need? We need update date. Remember, we need update date, and yeah, base unit of measure also we need. Document currency. Yeah, I think we need document currency also. Order reason we don't need. Document type we don't need. That's fine. So we'll edit the routine. Okay, now this is going to create now regular type of AMDP class and method. So it should have that particular keyword. What are the keywords? By database procedure for HDB language SQL script options read only. And now we have out tab equals to select star from in tab. That format is there, right? Okay. Now what we will do is we will quickly write the code. What is the code? Out tab equals to select star from in tab. Star is your field list. Okay. So we'll say out tab equals to select from in tab. Now in the select fields, what do we need? We need all the fields of the structure. What is the structure? This method, global end. Go to the outline, global end. We have to see what is the signature of this method. So right click and say navigate to declaration, because signature and all are on the declaration. So you can right click on this method name and you can say navigate to declaration. So this is your importing parameters. One of them is in tab. This is what we are interested in. So in tab is of type this. So you just right click and say navigate to. This is the table type. Now this table type is standard table of the structure. T underscore S. S is the structure. So you right click and say navigate to. There is a structure which is including another structure, and then you right click and say navigate to. And this is your entire structure for your end routine. Okay. So now we will copy this till the SQL procedure source code record. Okay. So we'll copy this, copy, and I'll just open an Excel sheet. Okay, I'll just paste it here because I don't want this type, or I don't want all this. So I'll just do a text to columns, delimited, space. I think space should work for us. Or yes, space will work. Finish. Okay, so what this did is I just needed the field names. So these are the field names. Document number is there. So we'll just do this. We will delete this. We will delete these. We don't need it. And then just to make sure that space and all those things are trailing spaces are not there, I'm just gonna trim this. Okay, this removes the trailing spaces and leading spaces. So this 56 not required. Okay, I'll just, okay, so everything is there. Let me move this here, copy as values only, and delete this. So this is a clean list. And now what I will do is I will concat this guy with comma, because we need comma. In the select clause, we need comma, right? So I'm gonna do that. So everything has comma. We'll remove it from the last part, from the last field. So I'll just do copy here as values only. So I'll get rid of them. And this, I'm gonna come here, go to global end, and then I will just type it here. Okay, so we have out tab equals to select document number, order item, blah, 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 all the fields from here I have to remove. Okay, from in tab. So that's my particular format. Now what I have to change? I have to change the update date. Update date is not coming from the source. All other are coming from the source. So for the update date, what I will do is I will say current date as update date. Okay. Now current underscore date is a internal variable, you can say, which will give you current date. So if you just say select current date from dummy in the HANA, HANA Studio SQL console, you will see that current date is a standard internal variable which will give you current date. We have current timestamp also. We have and current date also. So date and timestamp both are there. But this format is YYYY-MM-DD. But the update date is 8 digits, 8 characters, YYYY-MMDD, no dash. So then you have to use a function. And what is that function? It's called to_dats. So if you say to_dats, that will convert the YYYY-MM-DD to YYYY-MMDD. And that's what we want to end as update date. So that's all we need to do. We are just taking the current date. We are converting the format to without the dashes, just 8 digits. And 2_dat is not an ABAP function. It is a HANA SQL script function. Please remember that. If you write this code in ABAP, it's going to throw you a syntax error because there is no function called 2_dats. This is purely a SQL script function, and because we are writing an AMDP method, that's why the language we have to use is SQL script. Okay, so just do a Control S and do Control F2 for syntax check, no errors. Okay, Control F3.
Devanshu, for any syntax related, can we refer to the general SQL statements?
Yes, you can, absolutely.
Okay.
The SQL script reference, the PDF, you can refer to that. Yes, for all the functions you can use in the AMDP, because when you write an AMDP class and method, it's basically writing a SQL script, just like in your SQL console in HANA Studio, same thing. Okay, so it is activated successfully. So now I will activate the transformation and I will delete the start routine. Why? Because we want the errors to happen and we want the erroneous records to go to error stack, which is DTIS now. I should not call it error stack, DTIS. So start routine, let's quickly check what was there in the start routine. Again, an AMDP method. We were just removing the, okay, this is fine. So what we will do is we will delete this. Okay, we are going to delete the start routine. Yes, I want to be deleted. So we are now no more handling the special characters. All right. So this is done. Now start routine is gone, end routine is in SQL script, and we have the field routines also in my SQL script. You see this symbol, database symbol. This means it is a AMDP based routine. So let's do Control F3 to activate the transformation, which will deactivate the DTP. So we have to activate the DTP again. Okay. Okay. So now it is HANA runtime and no ABAP routine. Now, if you go back to your DTP, by the way, DTP was not created. So we'll create the DTP. What is the source of this DTP? The staging, because our characters with special character is there in this staging ADSO. Click on OK. It's going to be, yeah, okay, this is all fine. Let's finish it. And now let's see the processing mode of this DTP. The processing mode of this DTP is parallel SAP HANA execution. That means pure HANA execution without any partial HANA execution. Whereas the DTP which was here, okay, it is partial SAP HANA execution because of the end routine. So that's why you are not able to update the error handling here. But if you go to the error handling here, extraction is fine. Now the error handling is activated. So now the drop down is active and I can choose that what do I want. There are three options. One, it says it's cancelled, records are not tracked and not updated in the error stack, DTIS, and you will just have the failure. Second option is request is set to failed, error stack is written and valid records are updated. And the third option is request is set to success, error stack is written and valid records are updated, meaning your valid records will have green status, that will go to the target, and the erroneous records will be there in the error stack. In this, valid records will not go to the target, the error, the status will be red and the error stack will be written. So we can choose the second option, and once you choose the second option, then you have the number of errors. By default 100, you can say 1000 or 500 or whatever. And this is how you activate the error handling in HANA runtime. So if you want to activate error handling in HANA runtime, then you have to make sure the execution is not partial. It is a pure HANA or parallel HANA execution, and only then you'll be able to activate the error handling, not otherwise. The other option is ABAP runtime. If you have ABAP runtime, then of course error handling will be activated without any issues. But HANA runtime, you have to make sure it is not, partial. Okay, and then this track records after failed request, basically this is when the process chain is, in a failed status and previous DTP request is in failed status, you have repeated the DTP, it's going to track the errors, that whether there were errors there or not, and then it will fail saying that previous records had errors. You have to fix that, and then accordingly you will have the process chain also failed if there's a process chain. So in the HANA runtime, this is not activated. In the ABAP runtime, this is activated. So that's why you will see this grayed out. Now this, we can control S, we can save it. And one more thing, guys. Runtime properties. We did not discuss the runtime properties. So let's quickly go to runtime properties. Runtime properties will give you two things. One is temporary storage and the other one is background processing. Temporary storage is basically the internal tables which are created for debugging purposes and for repeat of erroneous DTP purposes. Meaning that at every stage of the DTP, a temporary table will be created, data records will be put in that table, whatever data records have been processed till that stage, and then you can, if the DTP fails, you can debug it easily. You can check those temporary storage internal tables, and you can also repeat. And when you repeat, it only starts from the failed status. It does not start from the very beginning. Okay. So temporary storages are used for debugging purposes and to have provide an efficient repeat process. Because say, for example, there are millions of records and there are different stages in the DTP. Okay, let me activate this and I'll show you this, what I mean by the stages of the DTP. So when you run the DTP, it creates certain milestones. You can call it DTP milestones. That means milestone number 1, done or not, milestone number 2, done or not. And where can you see all these milestones? You can see them in the DTP, go to general, sorry, not general, properties view. The DTP properties view, and there is something called a program flow. In the DTP properties, you have a program flow. That program flow will tell you that when DTP runs, what is going to happen. So first, what we'll do is we'll fill the data transfer intermediate storage. Then we'll prepare for extraction. Then the data package loop will happen where it will start the parallel background processes. Extraction will happen from the source. If there are any DTP filters, that will happen. Then if there are records with the same key combination, they will be filtered out. Then you will have the transformation from the staging ADSO to info source. Then transformation from the info source to the data warehousing layer ADSO. And then finally the updates. These are called DTP intermediate steps or milestones. This is how the DTP will run. Now, accordingly, if you go to runtime properties, same milestones are also there in the temporary storage. Extraction and filter. That means extraction and filter. These, after these two, a milestone is created, and the temporary table will be created after these two steps. Then you have what? Filter out new records. Filter out new records is another milestone where a table will be stored. So that means, say for example, 100 records are coming from the source. So first 100 records. So 100 records will first go through the extraction and filter. Temporary storage will be created. All good. Then the records from temporary storage of this particular milestone will be taken and put through the next milestone. If everything is fine, then another table will be there. Again, 100 records where after the processing will be stored. Then, or say for example, out of 100, it found that 5 records have the same key, so it will filter it out. So 95 will be there in the second table. The 95 will be taken and it will go through this transformation. Maybe it will result in, say for example, 90 records, just hypothesis, right? Just for the sake of argument. So 90 records. Then it will go through the next transformation. Then it will be 80 records. Then finally 80 records will be updated. So at every stage of the DTP, a temporary table is created for debugging purpose. That means you can see that where exactly the failure happened, at this milestone or this milestone or this or this. And if you repeat it, then it will say, for example, it didn't fail here, did not fail here, it failed here. So it will, when you repeat the DTP, it is not going to go through these steps again. It is going to take the data from this particular temporary table, which is called temporary storage, and then it will start from this step where it failed. That is called efficient repeat of DTP, and temporary storages are created to enable the efficient repeat of DTP. You can also have deletion of the temporary storage after these many days, or if request is successful, then you don't want the temporary storage because that's going to take up some space in the memory, in the RAM. So you can have the deletion also there. But for HANA runtime, you cannot activate temporary storage. Temporary storage so far till BW4HANA 2.0 SP4, temporary storage can only be activated for ABAP runtime. It cannot be activated for HANA runtime, not supported. Okay, maybe in SP5, which is I think already released, or SP6, 7, 8 further releases, they might enable temporary storage for HANA runtime also, but not yet. If you want to use temporary storages, you have to use ABAP runtime. Okay, so but at least now we are able to enable error handling, and then when you activate error handling, then what happens? So let me draw a picture for you. This is important for you to understand. So when error handling is activated, you have something called a DTIS. So we have source, then we have the target, and then we have something called a DTIS, which is temporary storage. Not temporary storage, sorry, error stack. This is called error stack. In the past, it was called error stack, but now it is called DTIS. So I'll just make it smaller because only erroneous records are supposed to go there. So then what happens is when you will load the data, sorry, when you will load the data, it will go, the erroneous records will go here, and you can fix the erroneous records here. Okay, this is your regular DTP. So regular DTP sends the data to error stack, but from the error stack, your regular DTP will not work. You need something called error DTP. There is another DTP which gets created, okay, and that DTP will take the data from the error stack and it will put to the target. Okay, so remember this. Regular DTP will only take the data from the source to target if there are no errors, and if there are any errors, then it will send the data to your DTIS. That's it. And regular DTP's job ends there. Now, if you want to send the data from error stack, you have to first fix the problem. Once you fix the problem, then you can send the data from the error stack to the target via error DTP. So you have to create an error DTP. And that is what we will create from here. Generate error data transfer process. So you click on this. Do you want to generate the error DTP? Yes, I want to generate, and I want to also open the monitor. Monitor means the creation monitor. We are not running it yet. We are just creating the error DTP. So it's going to create the error DTP. And then you can see that the mode of error DTP is always full. Error DTP will not have delta. Error DTP mode will always be full because it's going to take everything from the error stack and it's going to put it into the target. There you don't have delta request by request. Okay, there you will usually have full. So here you can see that what is the target? Target is my integrated database housing line ADS. So what is the source? Source is the DTP it's saying. Which DTP? The main DTP. JAI, this way. So basically it is attached to this particular DTP. Error DTPs are always attached to the main DTP. They can't exist by their own. They need a parent DTP, and that DTP is this guy. So error DTP is attached to this. Why it is attached? Because it knows which error stack it is supposed to take data from. Because different DTPs will have different error stacks. right? So error DTP has to be attached to a particular DTP so that it is also attached to the error stack. So that's why it is there. And now we'll say Control F3 to activate the error DTP. So now we have in the description also, you will see we have error DTP and then it starts. So basically,
Devanshu,
yes,
Sri here. So this is pretty much like similar old concept only.
oh yeah, absolutely. See,
Okay.
in this nothing has changed. Only thing what has changed is the DTIS is now more optimized than the previous error stack table. DTIS is more compressed. It can handle frequent data loads and it is much better than the previous error stack. That's all. But the process wise, the process which we used to follow, it's absolutely the same. There is no change there.
So what is the difference between, I know this error handling. So what is the difference between the error handling and the transformation? It works pretty much same.
What do you mean error handling and transformation?
There is a check mark, right? Like error handling check mark in the transformation.
That is for the HANA routines for the error tab. See, if you're writing code.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, if you're writing code, then you can handle it with the error tab. But here I'm not concerned with any code. This is general error handling with the data which is coming. And I'll tell you the criteria for general error handling. What are the scenarios where the errors will happen? Again, one of the scenarios which we are doing right now here is that we are not handling the special characters, and special characters are not yet allowed. We have not explicitly went to RSKC and given those special characters as allowed characters. So that means it should fail. So that's what we are trying to do here. So your error DTP is there. This is the error DTP. This is the main DTP. I have just activated the main DTP also. Okay. And now I will run this DTP. Okay. Now see here, open DTIS maintenance. What is this? DTIS maintenance means you can edit the data in the DTIS. Similarly, similar to the inbound table editing, same editing functionality will be given to you in the DTIS. That means previously also in the BW versions, in error stack, we could modify the data. We could edit the data. Same thing in the DTIS also, you will be able to edit the data. But it is disabled right now because there is no data in the DTIS. Okay, so DTIS has not been populated with any data. So now let's run this. It will jump to the cockpit and it should fail. Why it should fail? Because if you see the source, let's check the source first. This is our staging ADS of the source. If you right click and if you go to manage, okay, I'll quickly show you the manage. Now in the manage, if you see here, if I want to display the data, okay, last action is editing. Okay, let me see if I can go to this particular request. And we go to inbound table, we go to the contents. And we know that VBLN 6 has the material number as special character, right? There, you see this? So this Matner, the record number, the sales document number 6 has the special characters which are there. Now, if we run the DTP, it's going to take this particular request and then it should fail. So let's see if our DTP failed or not. First of all, we should have make sure that there is no data in the, yeah, okay. So it failed. Now, if it fails, you will see that there is a red symbol, meaning it has failed, and you can see that data package 1 error in processing. If you expand that, message for 95 records is saved. You can display the message. Okay, status processed. This is not the one. This you can display this. Messages have been created. Data records have not been processed further because of serious errors. The overall request has been set to red. Correct the data records that have been filtered out in error stack of the DTP and use an error DTP to update these data records. Okay, so the process is exactly the same. Now you will see error stack here. on the monitor, DTP monitor, previously we did not have this error stack. We only had all the other options, but not the error stack. But now you will have error stack. Okay. And you can go to error stack from here. Okay. If you click here, you will see maintain error stack, and this will give you editable cells. That means you can edit the records in the DTIs. This is one way. Second way, how can you access? The other way you can access is go to DTP now, refresh. How do you refresh? F5. Once you refresh, you will see that open DTIs maintenance is now active. Meaning from here also you can jump to same error stack, which you can modify the erroneous records into. Okay, this is the second way where you can jump to the DTIs maintenance, which is nothing but maintain error stack. The third way to jump is from this monitor. So in the monitor, we have DTIs maintenance. Okay, so there are three ways, either from the BW4HANA cockpit monitor, DTP monitor, or from the DTP's editor, you open the DTIs maintenance, or you go to DTIs maintenance from the options menu. And same thing, it will all take you to the same place, which is your maintain error stack. Okay, so here now you can edit the record. So I'll just sort by ascending. So we have 6. Okay, we'll select this, and then if you right click, go to the right side, you will see that this guy had problem. This has special characters. So if you remove the special characters for now, okay, and then there is a save button which gets activated. So you click on save. Changes have been saved. So you can click on close. Okay. So now what you have done is you have come to the error stack, which is DTIs, and you have fixed the problem, which was the special character problem. And now what you have to do, what is the next step? The next step is to run the error DTP. So now if you go back here, so this we have fixed the problem here. Now we have to go to error DTP. So you click on error process, which is the error DTP, and then you run the error DTP. So it's going to take the data from error stack. So you can just say execute in background, execute in open monitor. This is going to take the data from the error stack, and it's going to put it into the target.
Devanshu, error stack shows only the error records, right? But why it is showing all the complete data set?
Oh, this. Sorry, what is the question?
No, error stack should show only the error records, right? But why it is showing the complete data set?
Oh, you mean to say only the document number where it is a problem?
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally it should show only that. Why 95? All 95 records. Maybe I think because of this setting which we did. The setting is this one. Request is set to fail, error stack is written, and valid records are updated.
Oh, okay.
So if you have done this, request set to success, error stack is success, error stack is written, valid records are updated, meaning that the successful one will go, only the erroneous one will stay. Now here it failed. See, error DTP also failed. Why it failed? Let's see. Okay, error DTP cannot process all the requests in error stack. See long text. Why? What happened? And the request has status. Okay, request has state. The main request has status processed with errors. Error DTP will extract only the 0 request prior to. So basically, what it's saying is, if your main request status is red, then the error DTP will not run. You have to first make sure that the status of the main request is green, and then you can run the error DTP. That's what it's saying. And that was the exact process I think we followed in the previous BW also. We used to make the request as green and then let it go. And then the erroneous records we used to process with error DTP. So here, anyways, the request is automatically deleted. Okay, you don't have to worry about that. So here I will go back. Error stack is maintained. Okay, timed out. So in the main DTP, we'll go to the last request, show last request, and that will have the status as failed. So we have to change the status to green. Yeah, so status is red. Now you can say change overall status. There is an option called change overall status. Now if you change the overall status here, it will give you the option of status OK or status error, right? Remember this we used to do in the DTP monitor in the SAP GUI in the background. We used to change the status in order for the records to be pushed. So we'll say status OK. And if you want any message, you can write or you can leave it blank. Change overall status. Now the overall status has turned to green. Okay. And now we will run the error DTP again. Okay, error DTP also failed, by the way. White failed, let's see. Processing terminated. Processed with errors. Maximum number of errors per package increased. Maximum number of errors. But we have put 1000, I think, right? Let me see. Yeah, 1000. Anyways, okay. So I have to check why this is failing. Why it's saying maximum number of errors per package exceeded. But we only have few records. We only have how many? I think 95 records. So it should allow. This is transformation. Okay, I'll check that. What's happening? But we saw that this is the process of handling the erroneous records. Now, if you change this status, then what I manually did, I had to manually set the request overall status of the main DTP to green. This automatically system will do. System will make it green. It will push the successful records to the target and it will only retain the erroneous records in the DTIS. And there you have to maintain the DTIS. How? By going to the open DTIS maintenance or from here, fix the errors and then run the error DTP. So that is the process. Okay, I'll try to see what is the error. If we go deep into that, then it's going to take a lot of time, which I don't want to take up because I have to cover the OpenODS views also. But this is the overall process. It's the same. Concept has not changed. The process has not changed. The only thing is just get comfortable on the options on the BW4HANA cockpit. What we used to do in the backend, now all the options are there on the BW4HANA cockpit. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll delete this request for now. Okay. And I will delete this request also just to be clean. Okay. So now this is what is the DTP error handling. So I will just summarize it. For the HANA runtime, your error handling will be disabled by default. When it will be enabled, it will be enabled only when you have no end routine and your DTP execution mode should always be your parallel SAP HANA execution. If it is partial, no error handling is activated. Only if it is parallel HANA execution, you only have pure AMDP class and method, then you will have the error handling activated. And in the error handling, you have three options. You don't want to write the error stack. You want to write the error stack, but the main request is failed. You want to write the error stack, but the main request is green. Okay. And then you can maintain the DTIs from here. And in the runtime properties, your temporary storages will not be filled for HANA runtime. At least so far, it is not compatible with HANA runtime. In future, your temporary storage might be activated. In the ABAP runtime, so your assignment now, as you can, if you want to check the temporary storage, go to the header flow. Okay, create your own header flow, guys. By the way, don't change anything which I am doing in my folder. In your folder, in the header flow, you activate the error handling, and then see if the monitor, this BW4HANA cockpit monitor, DTP monitor, shows you those milestone and shows you the data in the temporary storages or not. Okay, so check that. That is only available in the ABAP runtime. All right, so we will take a break, quick short break, 10 minutes break. So right now it's 10:10. We will come back at 10:20 and then we will start the Open ODS views, which is very important. So we will see two types of Open ODS views, and during that Open ODS views, I will show you how to load a flat file in HANA database, because there's a customer requirement and I'll discuss the requirement with you. And as part of that requirement, we'll have to upload a flat file in HANA database. So I'll show you how that is also done. So let's take a quick break, come back at 10:20 and then we'll continue. Today's session will go, more than 10:30. It probably will go half an hour more. So if people who are not able to join, that's fine. Recordings are always there. But if you can, then I would encourage you, because Open ODS views concept, you have to understand very well. And we will do the hands-on for that. Okay. All right. So I'll be back in 10 minutes and then we'll continue. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. So I've resumed the recording already. Can you guys hear me okay? Can
Yes.
someone please confirm?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So again, I'm not taking questions right now. I'm sorry for that, because I have to cover a lot of ground today. Open ODS views I have to cover today, so that tomorrow we'll start with composite providers, and then we will have to do queries, and then we'll have to do SAC, and that's where it will end. And tomorrow, by the way, either in the pre-session Q&A or in the post, I will cover inventory management. So tomorrow we will see in detail the inventory management, how it works. We are going to do hands-on for inventory management, and we'll see how the data flows for the opening balance, for the delta movements, and for the historical movements. So tomorrow is important. So I'll cover that. And then if time permits, in one of the pre and post session of the last few sessions, I'll also try to cover streaming process chains. So we will do that as well if it works in the system, because there are certain settings which should be there, ODP, and then the streaming APIs in the backend should work. So I'll test it out. If everything works fine, then we'll see the streaming process chains also. Okay, before going to the Open ODS views, I just want to quickly show you, because we completed the flow, right, for item. So this one is for item. Header also we have completed. Item also we have completed the basic flow. And this one, I just did it for the purpose of demonstration of error handling. Now, what we'll do is we'll create a process chain. So there are two ways to create a process chain. Okay. The first way is you go to your BW4HANA cockpit. So you can jump from here, right click on your project and say open BW4 cockpit. It will open the cockpit, and there you can start afresh your process chain. Okay. So we'll first do that. I'm going to show you that. And then the second process is your easy way. Okay. A convenient and easy way. First, I'm going to show you from scratch, so how you can create a process chain. So we are going to create a process chain for this LSA++ flow. So what we'll do is we will have the modeling. In modeling, you will have the process chain creation, because here we are not monitoring, we are actually modeling. That means we are creating the process chain. So you go to modeling, and from there you can create your process chain, and then you will go for process chain editor. This is your tile on the BW4HANA cockpit. So you go to process chain editor, and then it will take you to the list of all the process chains. Okay, there are total 62 process chains right now. You can see that. And let me click there. Okay, it's going to take a little bit of time, few seconds maybe, but it should. Yeah, there you go. So this is now the second screen, which is model the process chains. So here currently, whatever process chains are there, which info area it is there. These are all BPC standard process chain / CPMB. And then last changed by, last changed at, status, and scheduled or not, whether they are scheduled or not scheduled. Now here, what you have to do is, you have to say create. On the bottom right, there is an option called create. So you will create the process chain. So you click on the create button, and that will bring you to the process chain editor screen, which is your screen where you will model all the nodes in the process chain. Okay, so just give it a few seconds because it's a BW4HANA cockpit, and first time we are doing the process chain here right now. So it's taking a little bit of time, but it's going to jump to the screen where start process. See, the first process of any process chain is a start process. So start process is basically by default, it will be given to you when the process chain will be created. Okay, so there you go. So this is the interface, the new interface in BW4HANA cockpit to create process chains, and the start process, which is a circle, will be given to you. Okay, by default it will be given to you, and you can drag it here on the left side, and then you have the process chain specific properties and then start specific properties. So on the bottom you can see this square. This is the process chain properties, and this is the start process. Now everything will start from a start process. Next process, what we have to do, we have to load the data in the staging ADSO and also in parallel to the integrated data warehousing layer ADSO. So we have two DTPs, right? DTP number 1 is this. So if you go to DTPs, display this DTP. This is from the data source to the staging ADSO. So let's check the technical name of this DTP. This is 4IY7. Okay, let's remember that. And then this is description is from the data source to your ADSO. So we will copy this name, ZSSDITM. And now we will go to add process. So there are 3 steps: add process, add collector. Collector means your AND process, OR process, so on, which collects different processes and combines them together. And then decision process. If there's a decision you have to make, then you can add a decision process. So we'll add the process here, which will add it here. No type selected. Now everything which you have to select for a node is via this detail option or properties option. So you click on this properties. So you will see that we have general, we have runtime. Runtime means delay if you want this process to wait and then have a delay. And then repetition, number of attempts of repetition if you want. If there is a failure, it can automatically repeat itself, so on and so forth. And then email address, if there is a mail which you want to trigger on failure or on success, you can do emails also. So let's go to general. What is the process type? Process type is my data transfer process, which is DTP. Okay, just type DTP here. You will have load process and post processing execute DTP with technical name is DTP_load. Click there, and then you have to select your DTP. Now in this, you can search with the technical name of the target. Okay, and then hit enter, and it will show you all the DTPs which deal either as a source or as a target of SDITM. Now, what was the name which we had? 4IY7, right? Let's go back to the enter 4IY7. So this is our DTP. Select that DTP, description automatically is taken, and click on OK. So this is your first step, which is your execution of DTPs. So this is the DTP for the staging ADSO. Now the second DTP, again I will add a process, and this is not after, this is parallel. So I will draw a line, I will drag a line from start to my newly added process, and then I'll go to the properties. I will choose, just type DTP, and then I will execute this. Now here my second DTP is which DTP? From the data source directly to the integrated data warehousing layer, which is the parallel flow, right? So which is the DTP? DTP this is the first one, because this is the data source, right? So take this DTP, and this DTP name, let's remember the technical name of this DTP. This is XYS, and then we will copy the name of this target, and then just paste the name of the target, and then hit enter. It will show you what are the processes types. So one is, we have this DTP XYS. This is the DTP. So now we have to execute DTP steps, which are for the staging ADSO and for the data warehousing layer ADSO. Both are coming directly from your data source. Now, if both are successful, if then you want to proceed, then you have to add a collector, and that collector is your and then you will come, let me make it smaller a little bit. Let me make it smaller. Okay. So now you have and step here. Okay. And now what you have to do is you will connect the green. Green means if it is successful, then you connect, and this also is successful. Only if both are successful, then you go to the activation of the ADSO. So that's why I want. I mean, it's not mandatory. You can also say that as soon as this DTP is completed, trigger the activation. As soon as the DTP is completed, trigger the activation. But here I'm just saying that execute both DTPs only if both are successful. Then you go to the next step. What is the next step? Activation of the ADSO request. So first I will do, and that activation can also happen in parallel. That doesn't have to happen one after the other, right? Because they are two separate ADSOs and they can activate in parallel as long as both the loads are successful. Then this is the ADSO ZDSDITM4. Now you add a process, okay, and that process you connect here. So it will come no type selected. Let's select the type. Process type is activate. So we have activate DSO data and activate master data. Just type the three letters ACT for activation. Activate DSO, activate master data. Click on activate DSO. Okay, and then it says use variant, or if you have already created a variant, then you can use a variant. If not, then we will create a fresh. We will say activate ADSO ZDSDITM4, and then actual DSO name you have to provide, right? So now I will give the name ZD_SDITM4, and there you go. So this is our ADSO, which is the integrated data warehousing layer ADSO. Select that, click on OK. Everything now we have certain properties. Activate request by request. If you want, there are multiple requests from the source, and then you want to do request by request. That means the activation request will be separate for each load request. If you want that, or if you want to combine multiple load requests into single activation request, then you can choose. If you don't choose that, that's going to happen. If you choose that, each load request will have a separate activation request. Error when not all loaded requests were activated. So say for example, there are 3 load requests and 2 of them are successful, 1 of them had errors. So if you want the entire process to fail in that case, then you can check that. And then finally, you will have the DTO, data tiering optimization. If you have activated, you want the activation to happen in all the stores, or only on hot and warm store, or only on the cold store. So that depends when your DTO is configured. So right now we don't have, so we'll leave it blank. We also don't want activate request by request. Everything should be combined. So you can click on OK. Now, so next is, again, I want the activation process. Why activation process? Because if you see the staging ADSO, if you remember the staging ADSO, it is of type staging with compressed data. And when you have compressed data, meaning you will have active table, right? So if you have active table, then you have to activate. So that's why I need activation. So I'll go here again. By the way, I'll just connect it here first. I'll just connect it. Now I will, what I'll do is I will, click on the properties. Same thing, process type. What is the process type? Process type is activate the ADSO. And then I'll just say activate ADSO ZS SDITM4. And then I'll click here and then I will select ZS SDITM4. Oh, no ADSO. Why? Why I am not able to find the staging ADSO here? Anyone? What might be the issue?
Because
Sorry.
by default compression.
By default compression. What do you mean by that? You mean to say as soon as you load the data in inbound table, it will automatically activate and send it to active data table?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Manually, did we have to activate in the staging or not?
No.
Yes, we had to. When we loaded data in the staging ADSO, didn't we have to activate it? I showed you, okay, tell me something. Didn't I show you that we can edit the data in inbound table?
Yes, it's a manual
Yes.
activation. Yeah, now I remember that.
Yeah, when we manually activated it, and because it is two table, we can also edit the data there. And then you have to click on activate. So there are two steps. It will not automatically go to the active data table. Then I will not have any option to edit the data if that happens. So then why I'm not able to see the ADSO here in the activate?
Because maybe you have data in inbound table.
So you're saying if I delete the inbound table, then I should be able to see it here?
Is it because system will not allow to activate unless the delta is sent to the target?
System will not allow unless the DTP is sent, you're saying?
Yeah, DTP to the next data mart, next target to send the delta.
Okay, so why? Because we have the compressed data. So if the request is loaded, then that request should be sent up, you are saying?
Yeah, maybe that.
Because we created a DTP from this stage
From
to
this,
the
yeah.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that.
Or else it could be that there is a compress process now for this.
Yes, you are coming to the right conclusion.
Instead of the activate process, it should be a compress process. Either that.
Correct, absolutely. So by the way, that point that we have to first load the DTP to that target, to further target, and then only we'll be able to activate. That is correct, right? You have to do that first. So that means if you have the compress and if you have the load, the delta load enabled from the staging to the standard, then you have to do that. But let's say, for example, for argument's sake, it's not there. That DTP is not there. So still it should allow me to select the process, and the answer to that is the process to activate the data in staging ADSO or data mart ADSO, both theoretically on a conceptual ground, it is not activation, it is compression. We are doing compression. That's why the name also says compressed data. Same concept is there for the data mart ADSO also. We are actually, the process technically is called activation, but theoretically and conceptually speaking, it is compression what we are doing. Because previously it was InfoCube and InfoCube had compression when I compare data mart. And here also, because it says compressed data, theoretically we are compressing the data. That's why you will not find the activation for any other ADSO apart from standard. Standard ADSO you will find in the activate DSO because that's where we are actually activating. Compression definitely happens there also. I'm not saying because data gets aggregated in the active data table, but changelog is also created, right? Changelog process is not there in data mart. Changelog process is not there in the staging ADSO. Changelog is only there in the standard ADSO, and that's why activation on a conceptual ground applies to only standard ADSO. For staging ADSO and for the data mart ADSO, compression is the more logical process to associate. So that's why now when you choose the process type, you will say what? Compress. There is no compress. Now what? So there is nothing called compress here.
Okay.
Yashika, come on. What is the next step?
Hence, what will it be called?
Aggregate.
Aggregates. Oh, sorry. What am I doing? Do we have aggregates in BW on HANA or for HANA?
I don't think so.
There are no aggregates. What then? Anyone? Arpan, are you there? Now people will not speak. Huh? Vijay. And no Googling.
No
Huh?
idea.
Don't Google this while I'm asking the question.
No idea.
Soresh, any idea? Okay, let me tell you, because we are already way over time and we haven't even started the open audience. So I don't think I will be able to probably start. But you know, I would love to complete open audience. Otherwise, we'll lag behind. Okay, so let me tell you, the process. This is a new thing in BW4HANA. The process is no more called compress. The process is no more called activation. Activation only applies to standard ADSO. Process is called cleanup ADSO request. I know it is a very misleading process, but there is a reason why they have put the name cleanup ADSO request. So if you choose the option cleanup of ADSO, then you can say I will have activate ADSO, or rather compress ADSO. Okay, compress ADSO, and my staging is ZS_SDITM4. So remember that. What is the process type? Cleanup ADSO request. Now in the cleanup, when you add, there are certain options which are enabled. What are the options? Options are activate request, remove old request from changelog, and remove old request from inbound table. Because all the three types are combined in one single process, that's why the name they have provided is cleanup of ADSO request. So first of all, you have to select the ADSO here, and then you will select the activate request or cleanup. So here we will give the name ZS underscore SD ITM4. There you go. This is our staging layer ADSO. Okay, I don't know why it is so small. It should be a little bigger. Maybe some screen resolution issue. Okay, so first thing is you will give the name of the ADSO here in the first. Then this will show you. I don't know what was this. Anyways, this is the main thing. The main thing is activate request, remove old request from changelog. Now changelog does not exist. So that means this is grayed out. Remove old request from inbound table. Why this is grayed out, guys? We have inbound table in my staging area. So then why this is grayed out?
Because we have not activated that data.
No, because after activation, inbound table is cleaned. Inbound table only retains the data when the reporting enabled checkbox is checked. If you have compress, that means after the activation, there is nothing left in inbound table. If there is nothing left in inbound table, removal of old request does not apply. So only thing which applies to this type of ADSO, which is compress, is activate. So we will choose the activate. This is select all request, Yes, I want to activate all the requests. This says that select all but the X latest request. That means you want to activate all the requests except the top two, or except the first three, or top three, or top five. If you have that kind of, then you don't have to select this. Then you can select that you don't want to activate all the requests. You want to only activate everything but the top 2, 3, 4, whatever you want. And then finally we have select all requests older than these number of days. So if you want 1 week of a request not to be activated, previous all the requests to be activated, you can opt for the number of days. But now I want to activate all the data. Click on OK, and now it will come as cleanup of ADSO request and compress of this, and the type is activate inside that compress. Okay, so I have my start, I have my execute DTP, I have my execute DTP for the other ADSO. Only when both are successful, then you have to, by the way, you have to create another DTP, which will be your DTP from your staging to your ADSO, but that ideally that should not be a part of your process chain. That's why I'm not adding it here, but technically you have to do that because it's a compressed data. But if you don't do that, what it will do is it will just load the data in the staging ADSO. It will load the data in the, but it will not activate the data. So this activation will fail. Why it will fail? Because you have a target, which is your standard ADSO, integrated data warehousing ADSO, and that is connected via a Delta process. Okay, so that's why it might fail. So before this, you have to do the DTP, and that DTP will send the data to integrated data warehousing layer. But in real scenario, in project scenario, you will have the staging layer as inbound queue only, not the compress. And then you will not, if you don't create any DTP with Delta process, and if you don't load it, then you can still do this activation without running that DTP because you don't have the DTP connected. So in that case also, you don't need to run the DTP. But in our case, because we have a Delta DTP connected, because we have loaded the data, so it will recognize that and this might fail. But anyways, this is how you will create a process chain. And now what you will do is process chain description and process chain properties are separate from the node properties. So this is the process chain properties. So here you give the name, description is your process chain sales item CDS view Delta daily. Okay, you can give some description. And info area, I will put the info area as my name or batch 2. So this is our info area. And then scheduling. Okay, so scheduling option happens on the modeling screen only. Okay, so you have execution user, which is the background user BW remote, job priority is C, and then you have current client only. If you want to load only from the current client, right? There can be multiple clients in your system. You want to load the data only from current client, then you can choose this. And there is your option for streaming. Process chain runs in streaming mode. But please remember that just by checking this box, the process chain will not be in streaming. You have to first check whether the data source which you are loading the data from supports streaming or not. Only when it supports streaming, then your streaming will work. Then we have certain other properties like automatically monitored, meaning on the cockpit, your status, you can see the status, the cockpit, the tiles will automatically update if there's a failure or a success for this particular process chain. Reset automatically, that means if there's a failure, then it will automatically reset itself, that will delete the request. Sends alerts on errors, so it will send an alert to specific email addresses if there are any errors. Polling main process is used when you have a main process and a multiple load processes. So work process, so there are multiple work processes and you want the main work process to complete, and only then the child work processes should be triggered. Then you can have this polling main process activated. And then local failure as success. I don't know what exactly this means. Local failure as success. Consider process with errors as successful if successor processes exist. Okay, so it says that with errors, if it fails, right, then consider this as success, mark it as successful if there are subsequent DTPs or subsequent processes exists after this. Okay, that means if this process chain is part of another process chain, then if this then it will be called local chain and meta chain, right? We had a concept of local chains and meta chain. Meta chain means a chain which has sub chains inside it, hierarchy of process chains. If that is the scenario, then local process chain, which is a local meta chain, if the local process chain fails, and if this process chain is part of a meta process chain, and you have activities after this subchain, there is another subchain which has to be triggered, then you are saying that even if this fails, mark this process chain as successful, so that in the meta process chain, the subsequent ones can be triggered. I have not used this so far personally, so I don't know whether it will work as I'm explaining you, but from the description, that's what it looks like. Okay. So here you have scheduling, beverage of priority C, currently only matter. Okay. So this is fine. So I've given the name of the process chain also. Now what I will do is save. So right now it is new. So now it will give me description and now the name, the technical name. So I'll say ZPC SDITM CDS Delta underscore D. Underscore D is for daily. So if I have monthly process change, I'll have underscore M. So you can follow any naming convention. So click on OK. Okay, so it's saying loading process chain. Okay, fine. Now there is an activate option. So we did the save and now we'll activate the process chain. Okay, so we activate the process chain and now the process chain is activated, but the status is activated. Now we are in the modeling. So if we go to monitoring, then you can see whether this process chain is scheduled or not scheduled. So in the monitoring screen, you will see that this process chain is not scheduled. There are any previous runs which exist? No, it does not exist. And process chain cannot be changed. Only actions for runtime view are available. That means you cannot change the properties of the process chain and all. But only thing you can do is you can schedule the process chain. Okay. When you schedule the process chain, it will say chain was activated and scheduled. Okay. Now, what is the schedule? How will you know where the schedule is? You have to go back to modeling if you want to change the schedule. Okay. And then in the start process, go to the properties. We did not see the properties of start process. We saw the properties of every other node. You have to go to start, and there you will see that we have the type as immediate start, which is default, but you can change it to date time. You can change it to event. You can change it to a calendar based workday scheduling. If you have a factory calendar based on which you want to run it, you can do that. By default, it is immediate. If you want date and time, you can schedule date and time. You have to provide the date and time. So if I give tomorrow's date and then the time is 10:54, so I'll click on OK. So 10:54, maximum delay in seconds. Does it waits before getting triggered? No, I don't want. Time zone automatically is chosen. If you want to choose, you can choose it. And recurrence, that means do you want to repeat it? Yes, I want to repeat it every minute. I can, and that is the lowest I can go, every minute. Then you have hourly, daily, weekly, monthly, any. So any means it will give you more options. But for example, if I just choose daily, workday restriction, do you have any factory calendar where the workday, say Monday is actually a holiday as per that factory? So if you want that, run on next working day, previous working day, do not run if it's a non-working day or there is no restriction at all. So this will take the factory calendar into consideration. And then you can say OK. And then you click on save. Okay, so you have saved the properties of the start. Okay, it has been saved, but it has been revised now. Okay, so when you click on activate, then only it is active. Okay, object activated. So now the proper state is active. Now go to monitoring, and then you click on so now it automatically changed to not scheduled. Okay, and then you click on schedule because we changed, right? So now the process, the option is scheduled. That means your chain, and now it will check. It will check whether the type of process is okay, if the parameters have been properly given, the name is properly given, so on and so forth. So it's showing you that all the status of DTP execution process is okay. Then execute DTP is okay, because we scheduled it as immediate, right? So when you schedule it as immediate, it triggered the process chain, right? So it will also show you the millisecond time, and if you want to know the data, so it will tell you that what are the events, what are the tasks getting processed. So this is basically the run. Okay, so run means because we scheduled it as immediate for the first time, it ran the process chain, and it basically gave you that how much seconds it took this particular step and what is the status, if it's failed or if it's okay. Now if you can say show all runs here, so you'll be able to see if there are multiple runs, then you will be able to see multiple runs. Right now, because of the immediate, it ran once, so it is showing you one run. Now this is the crude way, meaning from scratch. Another way you can do process chain is, which is a very convenient and easy way to do it, is from your DFM, data flow modeler. All that what I did is not required to be done. From your data flow modeler, you have an option on the right side which is called generate new process chain from data flow. So you can click on that, and what this will do, I can give a name here, ZPC underscore SDITM underscore CD underscore DLY for daily and underscore no DT for delta and underscore D. I have to give a different name than the previous one. So info areas batch 2 data flow sales item via CDS. This is fine, and then it is going to take a template, and template is your data flow, and then you click on finish. It's going to create another process chain. Now it's going to jump to BW4HANA cockpit, but you will see that everything, your DTP, your activation, your start process step, everything is auto created for us, and your entire process chain is generated based on the data flow which you have created. Now, if you want to remove something, definitely you can remove something and you can adjust this process chain, but the baseline work is done for you, and now you can build upon it. This is a better and more convenient option. That's why I encourage you to use DFM, data flow modeler, more and more. Okay, this will give you the entire flow also, and this will generate the process chain also for you, and this will be a very convenient way of doing your modeling. Okay.
Devanshu, how do we add the child meta chains?
So you have to add a process, and that process inside that process, you will say process type. There will be a process type called start local chain or start remote chain.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But this
Okay,
is
guys.
so
Now, question to you: can I continue with the OpenODS views, or should I take it tomorrow?
you
No,
can continue,
yes.
Devanshu.
Okay, I'll continue then. Okay. Unfortunately, then we'll have to do away with the question and answer for today. But it is very important for me that I finish OpenODS view. So please bear with me. I will try to make it quick, but it might take half an hour more. So again, people who are not able to attend, you don't need to stay back. Don't worry at all. The recordings are always there. But people who can stay, then we can discuss the OpenODS.
Devanshu, only two guys have said yes. I mean, we are interested, but don't know others.
Let me see. Others, can you please tell me, do you want me to continue with the OpenODS view or tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm okay with that,
Yes,
Devanshu.
Devanshu, continue.
Yeah, Devanshu.
How about others like, let me ask, Soresh, are you there? Sarita?
5 minutes rest.
Then let's do this. Then let's continue tomorrow. Right?
No, we'll because we have more topics, Devanshu. It's okay. We can have it.
No problem. If you would like to continue the bunch, you may continue.
Okay. Then let me continue. Yeah, because we have topics, a lot of topics to cover, and I don't want to drag this for more weekends. It's already been a little bit dragged. So okay. So let's take a 5 minutes break. It's 11:01. Let's come back at 11:07, and then we will continue with the OpenODS views. Okay. Thank you.